Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Team Thursdays. My name is Miss Chinasa. Today we're going to be making our very special pen that you can gift or keep any time of the year. It's always nice, and it can go to anybody. It can go to your grandma, your mom, your teacher, your best friend, even guys. It's a pen that y'all won't lose because of the nice detail that we're going to add to it today. So I'm going to show you two ways to make a flower pen, and the first way is going to be with duct tape and a pen. The duct tape we'll use as the petals, and the floral tape we have here we'll use to cover the stem. The second way is that we'll use fake flower here and use our duct tape as a stem. It's kind of like a blend of both materials, so hopefully you have them lying around the house like I did, and other supplies that you'll need is it helps to have like a craft board. If you don't have a craft board, something that's easy to remove the tape will be helpful, so you can use a cutting board. You'll need a ruler if you want to be exact and you don't want to kind of ballpark how much duct tape you need to use. You'll need a pair of scissors, some needle nose pliers, ones that have the wire cutter in the middle. Again, fabric, floral tape if you have any, or duct tape works just fine for both options. So the pens that I'm using are the easy to find ones at the dollar store. They're big. They have the cap. You can either get rid of the cap or keep the cap. Just know that if you want to keep the cap on the pen, just accommodate for how much tape that you use, because the tape, the cap won't fit over the tape. So like my example here, my finished product, see, it blends in so nicely you couldn't tell which one it was. The cap is on, and I just adjusted where it would end so that the tip was free to still nest in the top. So this is the floral pen with the duct tape stem, and then here is the duct tape flower with the floral stem. This is a slightly different pen. This is also by it's by Pentel. It's like a little rounder. It's got that nice cushion for your finger. I like it. I had a bunch of these lying around, and we're going to get started. This should be really quick, but I'll try to go slowly, and of course if you fall behind, feel free to tap that pause button so you can catch up. And when you're done with your completed projects, I'd like to see what you came up with, so please post a picture in the comments below to share with the library what you completed. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to take my big pen. I've actually taken the top off, just using the pliers, kind of pried it over. Don't worry about it cracking just a little bit because we're going to be covering it with the duct tape. So I'm taking the cap off, and I'm going to take about 4 inches of duct tape, and again, adjust that to a little back, a little less if you're going to use the cap. So here I am measuring 4 inches. There's 4 inches. Here's about 4 inches right there. So I'll put my thumb there. And the nice thing about the cutting board is that you can grip and tear like that. See how you got a nice neat corner. If not, hold it against the cutting board and use your scissors. So take the tape off and take your pen, starting at the edge of the duct tape against the table, put it at the very tip, and roll it over it. So I've got it angled right there, and I'm just going to roll it. It's easier to roll it on the table, so I'm just going to roll it until I have everything covered. There you go. So I could have added a little bit more for the stem, but that's okay because, I mean, it's not going to be seen around your fingers. So that's the end of that. Then we take our rose, and what I'm going to do, the reason why I took the cap off is so that it would nest right here. Be careful not to push too hard so that the ink cartridge doesn't eject out. There should be enough space for it to have the stem in there as well. Just make sure it sticks to the side. And my pen is a little too long, so I'm going to have to trim it down with our needle nose pliers. I forgot to also mention that you might want a glue gun, so I'm going to go ahead and plug that in so it can heat up. So to cut the stem down, also I think it's a nice touch to have the leaves, but it adds a lot of bulk with the supportive stem that they have. So I'm going to take it apart and remove the extra green connector piece that's holding it together. And I'm just going to slip the leaves back on to the stem. So now it nests very closely to the base of the rose. And then I want to secure it to make sure it doesn't wiggle around. So I'm going to take that piece apart here, maybe, and then stick the bottom piece to secure it. So I've taken out this little nub. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to hold it in my fingers like that nub, and slipped the bottom part of it back onto the stem to hold the green petals in place. And there, it doesn't wiggle around. And next, to adjust for how long it is, we take the needle nose pliers, and I want it just before the base of the pen so that it doesn't inhibit the writing. Give it a quick snip snip, take a couple tries, wiggle around. It comes off pretty quickly. And this is where you're going to need the hot glue gun. Support the tip of the pen so it doesn't get pushed out, and wiggle that in to the side of the cartridge. Try not to enter it into the middle of the cartridge because then the ink will get pushed out. We don't want that. And just so that the rose doesn't move around, this is where we'll use our glue gun and put it a generous amount around the whole base. It's not quite hot enough yet, so I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds, and we'll work on another part of this flower, which is our nice little detail of like short petals. You'll need a 2-inch base of tape. So again, using your ruler, 2 inches looks like that much. So I'm just going to tear it off, or you can use the cutting board like you did last time. 2 strips is enough to do both sides. And what we are doing with this is stick it on your thumb and place it on the table, the color side down, and then you're folding it 2/3 of the way across to make like a triangle, a right triangle, like so, and then taking the other side and folding it so it's the base makes a parallelogram triangle. It's a little geometry quiz there, so you know what type of triangles we're talking about there. So there's, you got one petal. We'll flip the other tape over, fold it 2/3 of the way across, leaving a little, like a couple centimeters on the edge. There's your first right triangle. Then fold that tip that has that exposed tape over to make a nice parallelogram of a triangle. I'm trying to see through the tape. So you have your equilateral triangle for your second petal. Now check the glue gun again. Yep. And we'll just generously squeeze around it. If you don't have a glue gun, you can also secure it with some more tape. Just make sure you get it underneath the fabric petals. And because we're going to be covering it anyway with our little petal, we're taking our leaf petal, our duct tape petal, and sticking it underneath our fabric petal, and then we're just going to overlap it one side over another, nice and tight. So we have our triangle on one side, like so, and we're going to turn it and place the other petal on the opposite side. Then wrap it around. So it overlaps. And we've got the other side. And now we have a nice flower pen. So that's the end of that. I'm going to cap it, stick it in our little holster. And our second pen option is with our Pentel. I got a lot of these types of pens from businesses. This one's from the Business Council. And the way we're going to cover the stem, remove the cap again. This cap covers the little cushion for your finger, so make sure that you're starting from the bottom. I'm starting from the tip top so that I can overlap it. And so using the fabric tape, it's usually sticky on one side, but like I've had this forever. Like I said, from a previous project, I made like candy grams for Valentine's Day one year, and they just stuck around. So I'm using the hot glue gun to just kind of stabilize it. And I started at the top first, and then I'm just going to wrap it around very tightly, and would not worry. You can put a little dab of glue so that the top, make sure to give it a couple seconds so that you don't burn your finger when you tap it down, so that it stays down. But again, we are going to be covering the top with the duct tape petals. So I'm wrapping this very loosely around because I don't want it to be too bulky when you're holding a pen. And also when we get to making the petals, you can put as many petals as you want. I think I put 6 or 7 on this one, and I thought it looked nice. It was like a bud just blooming. But the more petals, just be aware, the more petals that you add to it, the heavier and it becomes, and then the weight distribution becomes a little difficult to hold because we're all used to a lighter pen. And then I added a little dab of glue to hold it in place. Then I cut it off, and then I'm going to add another glue drop to secure the end. And it works better because it's on fabric. Just remember, hot glue gun does not really like plastic, so that's why I put extra on the actual fabric floral tape. And there we go. We have the covered stem. So I'm going to unplug our hot glue gun so it cools. And what we'll need to make our petals is any color you want. I'm going to make a yellow one this time. And we need 2 inches of duct tape. I've got some extra here, or a tab to help me pull it. So we're going to measure the 2 inches again, top or bottom, 10 to 12. And I'm just going to use the base of my desk to line them out so that we can make quick work of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do 7, 6, and 7. So take your first one, turn it color side down on your cutting board or your table, and we are going to fold it 2/3 of the way, this time all the way from top to bottom, but you're leaving a few centimeters up or the sticky part, like a finger's length width wide, because that's what we're going to stick to the base of the pen. And then we take our scissors, and you're gonna kind of cut from the bottom an arch. So it kind of looks like a petal now. Just like that. We take our pen, and this first one is going to be like the center of the bud, so you want it to be super tight. You're starting on the end and then pulling it all the way around so it makes that little bud in the middle. Take our next step, we do the same thing. Fold it. You can either use your finger as your marker as which part is supposed to remain exposed, and then fold the second part over, tap it down. I wouldn't worry if it's wrinkled, because roses are a little wrinkled, right, because of the veins on them. Make your little arch, and then turning the pen on the opposite direction of that petal. And this one is where it gets a little tricky, because you want it to like bloom out. So you're gonna kind of have to like make like folds. So secure it, and then like fold it. Make a little like pleat. It's like fold the tape on itself. And if it helps to like pull the petal, like fold the petal away from the center, and then press the edges down, then that'll help you get that, and then folds the petal up. That'll help you get that its blooming effect. To petal 3, do the same thing. Use your finger to mark which part of the tape that is staying exposed. Fold it in half. Don't get your finger caught. Press it down in half. Don't worry about any creases. It adds character to your petals. Add your swoop arch. If you have to start, clean it up a little. Again, turn the pen, and you're covering that little V that your the last petal that you put on created. And then remember to add a pleat or two to give the tape some space so that it can make it look like it's a petal that's opening up. There's our third one. Petal 4. And hopefully you're getting the gist now. And you'll show me how many you were able to add onto your pen. So this is a relatively inexpensive, and it looks really nice as a gift. We all use pens. There we go. And hopefully they stick around longer too, because people realize that they're like super fancy and they don't walk away with them. Or you can clearly say, hey, that's my pen. How do I know? Well, it's the one that has a flower in it. How many pens do you come across that have flowers on it? Call them out. I'm trying to jack your pen. All right, we got 2 more to go. All right, swoop, and then secure, pleat to pleat, pleat to pleat, secure. One more. And with this pen, we can also add our green petals. I would use duct tape to make them the same way. 2 inches, make your triangles, and stick them to the base. It'll make the bottom of this look really nice. This one you have to kind of like adjust also. You can't go back and forth. You gotta see where it looks less full. And that's our yellow flower pen. So I hope that you guys have as much success as I do. I'm working on a small workspace here, so bear with me. And see, as you can see here, my hot glue didn't work on this. So I'm just going to add a little more if it's still hot. It's not hot, so I'm going to plug it in, fix that up in a second. You can also, if you have different tape at home, secure it with clear tape. I think I'll do that later. And, nail polish could work too. Just remember to do that in a well-ventilated room. And I'll show you really quickly. Oh, I lost my green petal, so I'll just use white. And just show you again how to make those triangles. Didn't have a clean start. 2 inches again. Oh, I'm not doing well, am I? It's a little more than 2 inches, but I'll cut the extra. So triangle, overlap, make a bigger triangle, cut it down because I cut too much. Actually, I have enough to make my other triangle, my other petal. Flip it across, stick it at the bottom, like so. Maybe this is easier to see because it's a different color. Like that. Do the same thing on this side. Triangle, triangle. And there we have it. There you go. And there's 2 different types of pens that I hope that you guys make and that you share your results with the library folks. So this is the end of Teen Thursdays for today. I hope that you'll join us next week. Miss Stephanie will be walking us through how to make a paper mache pot for any of your gardening plans for the spring and the summer. Again, those will also make excellent gifts, especially if you get like little flower seeds and can gift to anyone for their birthday or just because you want to show them some love. All right. It's Miss Chinasa signing off, and I will see you soon. Keep reading, my friends.